One of the things that I've had to grapple with as a survivor of a violent crime is the way that people are so typically tilted to blame a victim and find fault somehow in some sort of behavior or choice they made. And now with everything coming out of the media around all these different situations, I always feel the worry about how people in their life and then also in general in the public are going to be framing it in a way that somehow something they did contributed, basically victim blaming. And it is a real thing. I think we are hardwired to be responsible for things, but rather than looking at why someone raped or why someone perpetrated a crime and stopping that behavior, we somehow want to place blame on something that they did, the victim has somehow contributed. And I know I experienced that. My victimization was late at night, after I'd worked a shift and had breakfast with a friend. Completely wholesome activity, nothing that I should have been ashamed of or afraid to admit, but somehow there was blame around me being out late and that I, as a young woman, maybe should have made a different choice. And what were you wearing? And I was wearing shorts, and were they short shorts? Well, no, they weren't short shorts, but actually they were thrown out the window by the perpetrator, so I never really could even prove what I was wearing. All my clothes were. But today, that still exists, and I would hope that we would be a more enlightened world, and that at some point we would shift that to care for the victims instead of blaming them. But we see politicians, we see media news outlets, we see people wanting to find ways to blame and figure out what they did to contribute. And I hope that this opportunity and this platform allows me a voice to change that and to continue to speak truth into that, and that we need to ask why people rape and why would he do that behavior, he or she, rather than what did the person do. And I know even in college campuses, students these days are being taught how not to be a victim of a crime. But there's no module, there's no session on how you should treat people. What about consent? What does that look like? What you should do or not do? Or when you see someone being vulnerable, maybe you see someone intoxicated, how do you help as a bystander? Those are afterthoughts for a lot of our academic institutions, and I hope that changes.